Now, over the past few weeks, India has been witness to a deeply troubling trend, a sharp and sustained rise in student suicides. A 9-year-old student in Jaipur, a 10-year-old boy in the national capital, and a 17-year-old student from Rewa, Madhya Pradesh. Innocent children with bright futures who decided to end their own lives over allegations of harassment, bullying, humiliation, neglect to these complaints in school. While we have witnessed cases in the past, the burden has been of purely academic nature, but these cases highlight a rather systemic failure, especially at schools. So a 16-year-old class 10 student died by suicide in Delhi, a 9-year-old studying in class 4 in Jaipur, and a 17-year-old class 11 student in Madhya Pradesh. In Delhi, the student jumped in front of a metro. The class 4 student in Jaipur ended her life by jumping from the 4th floor of a school building, and the student from Rewa took her life, leaving behind a note at her residence. Blamed harassment. The student from Jaipur alleged bullying and verbal abuse of by her classmates, but something that was not clearly being dealt with. And her family alleges that she complained to teachers, but those cries fell on deaf ears. The student from Rewa alleged torture by a male teacher. On the investigation front, Delhi police has filed an FIR and ordered a high-level probe. In Jaipur, CBSE ordered an inquiry, and it brought to fore lapses by the school. Meanwhile, in Madhya Pradesh, all angles are being probed, but the family is demanding a high-level inquiry. Now, in 2013, India recorded 8,423 student suicides, but a decade later, in 2023, that number rose to nearly 14,000, reflecting an alarming upward trend of 65%. Between 2019 and 2023 alone, the increase was 34%, indicating that the crisis has accelerated in recent years. In fact, students form 8.1% of the total suicide deaths in 2023, a significant rise from 6.2% in 2013. So, as this alarm is ringing all across the country, especially vis-a-vis what schools are doing right and wrong, parents are out on the streets and they're worried. Where are schools going wrong? That coming up with our guest. Rita Kapoor, founder director of Gyanshri School, is joining us. Rita Kapoor, first your sense of all of these cases that have come to light. In most of those cases, there is either harassment, neglect, or practices employed by teachers, which I don't think the education system condones anymore. Your thoughts of these cases that have come to light first? Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, a little louder, please.
I'm saying your thoughts firstly on these 3 cases that have come to light, raising alarm bells and concerns of what's happening inside schools.
Oh yes, Shivani, I think it's the most tragic thing that can happen to a parent, to a teacher, to a school and society at large. And most importantly, a loss of precious life. And the reaction is always shock, grief and outrage. These are the things that happen. And after that, what happens is a blame game that starts. And that part is the most shocking for me. As school teachers, as a mother, as a parent, as a teacher, as an administrator, I think we should create an environment where such things do not happen. That's the only thing we have to do. It's such incidents are a kind of wake-up call. But what is a wake-up call after the damage is done? I'm really, really shocked. I mean, it's very difficult to digest such a news.
So in most of these cases, what is coming to light is that either the kids were being not dealt with properly. I don't know whether I can use the word harassment, but certainly the allegation is that they were either being harassed by teachers themselves, or teachers were not paying due attention to harassment that they may be facing by other students. Is there something the schools are not doing right in this regard? Because so many such cases cannot happen unless it's a systemic problem.
You very rightly said it's a systemic problem, definitely. I mean, there's not one person who is responsible for this, neither the child, nor the teacher, nor the school, nor the parents. It's a collective tragedy. And when we talk about such things happen, why do such things happen? Definitely something has happened which triggered such a thing, and something very, very sad or shocking happened which really pushed the child to do such a thing. And in this case, we are all collectively to be blamed. And I think whether it's a teacher or a school, we have to pull up our socks. At the parents' end, definitely they have to see what is to be done to the child. And
no, one second, ma'am. One second, ma'am. Parents today, one second, ma'am. We spoke to many parents today. They are saying routinely when our kids come and say, oh, the teacher said this, the teacher did this, we side with the teachers, right? That is the response of most parents because they know their kids can be problematic and troublemakers in classrooms. So they side with teachers to say, no, listen to your teacher. But teachers can't go to the extent where, for example, in this case, in the Delhi school, the kid expressed suicidal thoughts. How was that not a red flag for the teachers or the counsellors?
It is a red flag. In fact, it's a warning. It's a deep sign of warning that something is amiss and something has to be immediately done. I'm sure I take this as a lapse at the part of the school. If the teacher has been informed twice by the child and the teacher has not taken the signal, it's a very, very sad story. It's really sad. The teachers are parents in school and they have to feel the pulse of the child. And whether it's 40 kids to a class or 30 kids to a class, I'm sure the teachers can sense what's wrong and where is wrong.
Yeah.
And for this, I feel a very, very good environment, open, flexible environment, good communication, good relationship between the student and the teacher is very important. And relationship can be established if there is a communication, if the teacher and the students know each other very well, where the child feels that he can depend on the teacher and talk his heart out, and the teacher is always there to hold finger. So that atmosphere has to be created, and sometimes, Shivani, in the humdrum of things, these things are lost.
Ma'am, the other concern that is coming to light via parents, and I think all parents will feel this concern, is that when something like this happens, there is a tendency, even in educational institutions, to try and cover up what happened. These are the allegations being made by the bereaved parents in all of these cases that we're talking about today. In fact, in Jaipur, when those CCTV footages came out of that young girl jumping from the 4th floor to take her life, I can't even imagine what compels a young child to do so, but clearly something grave happened. After that happened, there is an allegation that the school authorities tried to clean up the blood from what was a suicide spot or effectively a crime scene. So do you think schools are not taking this seriously? Do you think the government must do something, or can the educationists come together to pull up their own socks? What needs to be done here?
I think we all stakeholders have to come together and have a look at it. It's a school, obviously, or not obviously, I mean they should not, but such a thing happens. It's very bad. It's very shocking for the school as well. But what I feel is, at this point, when such a thing happens, 5-year-old child or a 10-year-old child doing something what they have done is a signal for the parents also, for all stakeholders. They can also sense that there is something wrong. When a child comes home and talks about, if a child has shared something with the teacher, I'm sure they must have shared with the parents also.
Yes, they did. So in many of these cases, they did.
Have to collect.
And the problem is that parents
feel... No, if they did and...
The problem is that the parents feel that, you know, they don't know exactly what transpired in the classroom. They have a tendency to side with the teachers to feel that maybe हमारे बच्चे ने ही कुछ गलत किया होगा, तभी टीचर ने reprimand किया है या discipline करने की कोशिश करी है. I think parents have that tendency. After these cases, parents will not have the same faith in the teachers. That's the problem here.
I agree with you. I agree with you. There are some parents who are very strict at home, and they want the same kind of strictness to be taken to be followed by the teacher as well. There are all kinds of parents, Shivani. It's not only this kind of parents who would come and support the teacher. Okay, you be tough with my child. But there are parents who are who pamper their children to the extent that the children are they have least resilience, and they are not flexible, because they get so much at home that the word is a command for the parents out of love or affection, or the affluence in the family, there are servants around and the child speaks and the things are done. But when they come to school, things are different. They are one of many children in the classroom. So that's another thing where we need to look at the skills of the children also. They should not be lonely. They should be communicative. Parents must at home also keep communicating with the parents, with the children. And in this classroom also, the teacher has to, communication is very important, because communication gives broad signals, whether in the school or at home.
Yes.
Time has come because of lot of other things, because of,
in these cases, I think now attention is whether there's going to be justice meted out, because if teachers were indeed negligent or responsible for ignoring harassment or piling on the harassment, and they weren't able to quote-unquote discipline the child in the right manner or give them the tools to understand the situation, then there has to be clear punishments meted out, because I don't think any scapegoating would be very favorable here for the bond that student teachers or parents and teachers share. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us.